So I always tell you guys that I am so thankful for my wife. My wife, Brooklyn, is one of the most amazing people in the entire world. And I was sitting on the couch the other day, actually a little chair in our room. And it was a little bit later at night. She's watching a show and she's scrolling through TikTok doing her thing because she's a professional at that. And I told her about a bunch of ideas and I was kind of racking my brain, and I found that there's a little wrinkle that happens right in between my eyes when I talk about these things. And I was like focused in, and I was telling her about all these different options, these ideas that I had and how I wanted to execute them. She looked over at me and she was like, "It's not that deep." She said, "It's going to be the small little things that are not the big profound things that are going to be the simple things are going to be the most profound. It's not going to be some huge idea. It's going to be the very simple thing that you do every single day. And that is going to be the thing that takes off." And then she went right back to scrolling, right back to looking at her stuff. And she just looked at me and she just kind of laughed and shook her head and said, "It's not that deep." And so it was amazing because when I went to Proverbs 25 today, it was that exactly. It was God showing us that it is not that deep. It's not that complicated. That truth doesn't have to have a lot of words to it. It just is that simple, but it's most of the time hiding in plain sight. So why don't we get this party started?
On my mind, I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
I just came off a weekend. I got a chance to be able to go out to Nashville to the Keystone Resort. It's about 2 hours outside of Nashville with Absolute Motivation, James Dixon. It was unreal. We had Larry Namer there, Dave Austin, Dylan Barry, a whole cast of characters that were phenomenal, and it was an incredible event. And I just got to spend time with them. And what I realized was exactly what my wife was talking about the other day or the other night, which is just that it's not that deep. It's simple. It's having a good time, lifting people up, bringing joy into their life, which is the ability to be able to fall in love with your current circumstances and allowing magic to happen. It's not the perfect circumstances. Is just looking at whatever it is that you have going right now and getting so incredibly excited about it. In Proverbs 25 today, it's a reminder that God is enough and that he's never complicated. And when we seek wisdom, everything else will work out. And how can we truly seek wisdom? My buddy Will and I were having this conversation last night on the way home from the airport. I was driving and I called him, and I was saying, it's amazing that, if we seek wisdom, well, where can we get it? It's just from the fear of God or spending time with him, right? So spending time with God, finding true wisdom, and then that way everything else will work out. It won't work out in the time that you want it to, though. It'll work out exactly how it's supposed to. So welcome to another episode of Inchstones also. And we have 3 different shows on the podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is a way for you to be able to take us on your walk in the morning, 15, 20 minutes of some soul food. And we go through the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. I want to tell all of you that are listening, James Barbour, I want to thank you so much for listening to it with your family, and anybody out there who is listening to it on a day-to-day basis. I did take a couple of days off because I was traveling, and we're going to catch up on those. So let's jump right into Proverbs 25 and how that can apply to today. In verse 2 and 3, it hit me right away is his truth is hiding in plain sight. Keep it moving. It's not that deep. The second part, obviously, is some paraphrasing from my wife. Like, keep it moving. That's what she always tells me. And she's like, it's not that deep. You don't have to sit in it that long. Don't try and complicate it. Keep it simple. keep a smile on your face, bring joy into people's lives. And, sometimes you just need to be able to belly laugh to not take yourself so seriously. In verse 4 and 5, it talks about the brass tacks, or getting down to the root of it, right? So once we take away all the garbage that is on top of the situation, then we find out what we actually have at the core. And if we always look for what is at the core and we strip away the garbage, you'll start to see where the value is at. And sometimes it'll just be a big pile of garbage. So just be conscious of that. Make sure that your filter is strong. And the greatest filter that you can ever have is just wisdom. Wisdom is the right use of knowledge, and it only comes from one place, and that's from a relationship with God. So let's see, in verse 6 and 7, don't become intoxicated with your own success. This was something that I heard. I've heard very many times, but it was incredible because Coach Prime just said it yesterday. So University of Colorado, or actually on Saturday. So University of Colorado had been doing really, really, really good. They went into a battle against Kansas. They were ranked. Kansas wasn't ranked, and they got whooped. And Coach Prime said that you got intoxicated by your success. It's another thing, a word called hubris, thinking that you're going to succeed because you succeeded before. I've done this. I've done it very, very many times, but don't be intoxicated by your own success. Just set back and give the credit where the credit is due. God brought you to that place, and so honor him, and he will honor you. And even when you don't honor him, he'll still honor you because he has grace, and it's incredible that way. But you'll definitely learn lessons from the actions that you. The actions that you put forth, because you're going to have to deal with it, right? In verse 8 through 10 is mind your business and watch your mouth. You've heard me say this before, and this was something that my mom would always say to me, is mind your business and watch your mouth. Guard your heart, mind your business, watch your mouth. And when we look at this, if we will simply mind our business, work our land. I get caught up in this at times. I told my buddy William this last night. Anytime you're on any type of social, you watch any type of media, anything like that, comparison could come into play. And comparison is the thief of all joy. That's what my brother says to me all the time. I love you, Rob. But he says that all the time. But I don't think any of us are immune to it. But watch this. Just mind your business. The business that you were put on this earth to do. And when we do that and we mind our business, then it'll be amazing, because what will fill up our heart, once our heart gets filled, it comes out of our mouth, we'll know what we're saying. So if you're saying things that are silly, just check your heart, and then check. Most of the time when you're saying things that are silly, your heart is filled with silly things, and it's because you're working outside of your land and you're trying to mind someone else's business as opposed to your own. This is where I get in trouble. Is verse 11 and 12 is wisdom sounds good to the one who listens to it. See, it's always playing, right? Just like the radio station, you have to be tuned into it. You have to be tuned into that station. Wisdom always sounds good to the person who listens to it. But are you listening? Are you tuning into it? In verse 13, 14, 18, 23, 25, and 26, I felt that this one was very important because it reiterated it so many times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verses in Proverbs 25 today. Is speaking life refreshes the spirit. And I find this to be true. When you use somebody's name and you tell them specifically what they did that inspired you, I tell you, they continue to do more of that thing. I got life spoken to me today by my brother. He sent me a text. He said, I was thinking about you, and he sent me a picture of a book that he was reading, and he had outlined the verses. And I said to him, what did you take from that verse? And he said that God has promised you big things. So don't settle. Don't settle in your life. And he spoke life into me. When you speak life, it refreshes somebody's spirit. My spirit was so refreshed this morning because my brother simply spoke life. But how many people in your life could you reach out to right now through text, through email, through a call, a FaceTime, whatever it is? Don't FaceTime people randomly. That's weird. But could you call them? Could you call and just tell them that they're amazing, and not just amazing, but what they did specifically? Try this with your wife, with your kids, with your friends. I tell you, it will refresh the spirits of the people around you, and they'll want to be around you more. In verse 15 through 17, patience is one of the most powerful strategies. And this is a thing that I struggled with and I still struggle with in my life. Is patience is one of the most powerful strategies. I used to always think like, oh, if you pause or you wait, you won't, but when you have patience, it means that you take the time to be able to study it, be able to see the whole picture and not just listen to the opening statement. I used to fall victim to this when I'd watch shows that, there would be attorneys in court. My brother's an attorney, and the first attorney would go, and I'd be like, oh, man, that's it. Like, I just believe him. And, my brother would always think, like, wait till the cross-examination. Wait till the other one comes. Listen to the whole story. See the whole picture. When we see the whole picture, we take the patience to be able to do that. We see it from a different realm, and we can see the places where we can go into battle and actually come out victorious. In verse 19 and 20, are you providing value or are you simply circumstantial advantage? Are you providing value or simply circumstantial advantage? And this is a wild one, because I think a lot of times there's people who provide value in our life, and that's long lasting, it's sustainable. Or there's people who just give us circumstantial advantage. And when you do that, there's a time limit on that relationship. And so there's times where I've had where I didn't create any more advantage in that person's life. Therefore, my friendship started to dwindle. I started to see that it wasn't about the friendship and it wasn't about the value. It was just about the things that they could get at the time. And we've got to be conscious of this, but we also have to be conscious of it for ourselves, right? And so in verse 21 and 22, is doing right always works? This is a pretty simple one, right? Is when you do the right thing, when you call the person and speak life to them, when you bring joy into someone's life, when you bring a smile or you lighten the mood, or you give somebody some love or give them some shine, it always works. It always works. I had this experience at the Keystone Resort. I had a kid named Hunter. He walked up and he was very serious. He was an amputee, a unilateral amputee below the knee. And as Hunter walked up, I looked down and I said, oh man, tell me the story. And he's like, oh, and he got really serious. And he told me about, he was out with his best friend who happened to be his cousin. They were hunting and he was out in front of him. And, his friend, who was cousin, shot him on accident. They were duck hunting, shot him on accident and took his leg off. And he said, I asked, did your life flash before your eyes? He said, yes. I said, what part's the negative or the positive? And what I started to see was that he started to shift his focus from all the bad things that had happened into, we started to kind of laugh about it. It started to be light. And what I spoke life to him and told him is that story is going to bring so much life to so many people, but they're going to be okay with it when you become okay with it. So how can we do right by people? How can we breathe life into people? Sometimes it's just by bringing a little bit of joy, lightening the mood, whatever it is. And it will never, ever, ever not work. Like it always, doing right always works. In verse 24, family is the foundation. And this one is wild. I had so many people that they build. I did this for a long time. I told my brother. He asked me why I was working so hard at certain things, and I said because I'm doing this for my family. He said, no, you're doing it for yourself. He said if you were doing it truly for your family, you would figure out a way and have enough ingenuity to figure out a way to be able to spend time with your family as opposed to being away from them the way that you are right now. And it was a real slap in the face for me. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't work hard, make sacrifices, things like that, but it was looking at it and saying that my family is my foundation. And when you build your life on your family, I'm telling you, and it's biblical, it's written 3,000 years ago in verse 24, I tell you, when you build your foundation on your family, everything else will stand. And finally, as we wrap up on verse 27, is more isn't always better. And this is a thing that I struggle with, and I've struggled with my whole entire life. Is like once I do it, and I'm like, man, I would just want more of it. I have a Houston Oilers helmet. I want 10 of them. You know what I mean? I got a Biggie statue or a Red Man statue. I want 10 of them. I want 15 of them. And more always isn't better. Like more isn't always better. But a higher quality is always better. Right? And so what God wants to say is like, he's got the highest quality. He's got the highest quality, and he could bring more into your life when he sees fit. But he wants you to have the real stuff. And as we finish, the cool thing about truth is that you don't have to dig down far because it isn't that deep. I just always think about my wife when things become simple, when they become clear, and because she doesn't work that hard to say the truth. It doesn't take her many words. It's just very, very quick. And then she could get back to TikTok and watching the Real Housewives of Utah or wherever she's watching right now. But she brings me so much wisdom into it and just helps me to realize that it's not that deep. I want to encourage every single one of you today that, keep it simple. Keep it absolutely simple. Don't overlook the thing that is hiding in plain sight that's there right now. God's love for you, that he wants to lift you up, that he wants you to be joyous. He wants you to fall in love with those current circumstances. Whatever it is, he wants you to laugh about it as much as humanly possible. Make it as light as possible because there's somebody who needs that light. And so I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Inchstones. Proverbs 25. It never, ever, ever disappoints. I'm so happy to be back with you guys, and I appreciate you. Drop a comment to subscribe. Do all the things that you know you need to do. But I thank you guys more than you could ever know. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk